It's been an interesting week with all types of news and headlines coming out. But one of the most popular headlines was that they have arrested someone for the death of Tupac Shakur. What's fascinating to me as someone that grew up in the most important period of hip hop when it was really taking hold mainstream and becoming one of the most popular musics in the world during the early and mid 90s, there's no denying the impact that Tupac had and Death Row Records and Biggie Smalls and the rivalry that was created, unfortunately, in the music industry between the East Coast and the West Coast. And there was a lot of violence, and everyone used to throw up signs, West Side and East Side. And honestly, looking back, it was the stupidest thing ever in the world, that people were actually fighting and getting angry just because of where they live geographically. But there's a lot more to that than that. The basically seal of this rivalry was the death of Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G. They're the same two that basically were the face of the two different coasts, and they were the face of the East Coast, West Coast beef battle. But from what we see here, and there was so many conspiracies of who did it, Suge did it, Puffy killed Biggie, I mean, all kinds of different theories, and it seemed like these two icons of hip-hop would never get justice. And, of course, it's still yet to be determined because everyone should be innocent until proven guilty. So they finally made an arrest. But what's fascinating to me is as I dig a little bit deeper into this, because I haven't really been paying attention to it a lot, is the fact that it seems the person that solved the murder of Tupac is VladTv, famous interviewer, YouTube channel, done a ton of interviews with hip-hop community, celebrities, former gangsters, criminals. It seems like VladTv is really the one who basically threw it into the face of the police, and it seems like they should have already known who was involved or what trees to bark up. And I found that to be a little fascinating. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. And this article from Vibe magazine, Ice-T says Tupac murder suspect Keith D is basically dead following the arrest. Ice-T has weighed in on the recent arrest and indictment of Dwayne Keith D. Davis in connection to the 1996 murder of late rap star Tupac Shakur. In an interview with All Hip Hop, the West Coast rap legend gave his take on the latest development in the unsolved case, sharing his belief that Keith D's current legal troubles are a product of his own doing. My initial thought was people talk too much, Ice-T said, referring to interviews Davis had done with DJ Vlad, Art of Dialogue, and other platforms in recent years. He also questioned why Keith D had not been apprehended prior to the arrest given authorities' knowledge of his involvement. I think LA knew exactly how this thing played out. I just don't really understand why it took law enforcement so long, because if I say that I'm in a car with somebody that does something, I'm a part of the crime, and that's correct. You're considered an accomplice if you don't report it to the police. If I go over to your house and ask you for a gun and you give it to me and I go do it, you aided and abetted the crime, he added. That is correct. The 65-year-old continued to blame Davis' arrest and indictment on being too forthcoming about his connection to the death of Shakur, who was long to believe have been murdered by Davis' nephew, Orlando Anderson, in a drive-by shooting following an altercation in Las Vegas. Shakur was shot multiple times on September 7th, 1996, ultimately succumbed to his injuries 6 days later. So my point is that with all the interviews and all the books where dude just happened to say it 100 times on interviews, I was in the car, he said it, no one else said it, he said it. Why would you say that if you didn't want to get caught? So, you know, I got no love for dude. It was a chain of events that should have never happened. It's all out of my realm of understanding. And I don't get it either. Like, why would you want to even say you were in the car? To me, that just shows me how dumb you are. And, I mean, how much of a street guy are you if you're talking about being in the car, seeing everything happen? You're opening a can of worms. It's almost like you're ratting on yourself. So I said, let me check out what this guy's been saying. So I pulled up the VladTv interview with Keith D. Keith D or whatever he calls himself.
So let's talk about what happened.
And it's just mind-boggling
based
to
on
me.
what the book says.
So let's see what he had to say.
Gave you guys a Glock, and you guys tossed it in the back seat. And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, "Tupac, Tupac."
No, we coming up, what's the name? What's that, Flamingo? Yeah, I think that's Flamingo. We was coming up Flamingo and got to the light. We was going to go drink and smoke some weed, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next?
And we just came, and shit. I ain't gonna go into details like that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, you got it in the book. You done played it, everything else, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, in the book,
You ain't going to go into the details. You gave law enforcement enough details to arrest your ass. And he probably going to have to rat on someone, because if he didn't pull that trigger, he knows who did. So I don't want to go into the details.
you said that as you're driving up towards the BMW with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a gun.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see a gun?
No, shit. Once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car
That's what happened.
started shooting at Tupac and Suge.
Lane starts blasting. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looked at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In
of
the
line.
back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their
Jumping
car?
in. I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would drove on my side. I would have popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
So basically there, Sherlock, you admitted you were in the car with the people that murdered Tupac and wounded Suge Knight. You are an accessory to the fact that you never went forward to the police or reported the crime. The fact that you would come out all these years later and admit to it and write books about it, I mean, this is just bizarre to me. No real smart criminal or gangster would ever do what this guy just did. This shit makes no sense. What's even more mind-boggling to me is that Suge Knight was interviewed, and the New York Post is reporting Suge Knight won't testify against Tupac murder suspect Dwayne Keith D. Davis, suggests cops have wrong man in the report. So then what? You know who did? Is that really, So basically, what a lot of people have suspected, Suge probably knows who killed Tupac if he didn't set it up himself. I'm not saying he did, but that's weird. This guy's talking about he's in the car with the people that killed Tupac. He clearly knows who they are. He's saying he's seen Suge, Suge seen him, which means Suge then seen everyone else that was in that car. So maybe that's what Suge means. It wasn't him that actually killed Tupac. But that means Suge probably knows who killed Tupac, bro. Marion Suge Knight, the imprisoned Death Row Records co-founder, who was never all up in the video. That was Puffy. Was with Tupac Shakur the night he was gunned down in 1996. Suggests officials may have the wrong suspect, and he's 1,000% he won't testify against him, which is weird. The notorious rap producer gave TMZ a jailhouse interview Monday about last week's arrest of Dwayne Keith D. Davis, who's 60 years old in Las Vegas, on a charge of murder with a deadly weapon for Shakur's death 27 years ago. I'm not going to get on the stand and testify. I wouldn't testify none of that shit. At the end of the day, free Keith D, he said. So not only is he not going to testify, the guy that's in the car that murdered Tupac, he said he won't even testify against him. This is weird to me, man. If you supposedly love Tupac, he was your boy and shit. I mean, does this fuel the conspiracy that maybe Suge had something to do with what happened that night? I don't know. I can't say I'm an expert on this subject matter, but just from the outside, this is very bizarre. What do you guys think? Drop a comment below. Do you think Suge ordered the hit on Tupac? Maybe. Or he at least knew what was going to happen? But then why would he get grazed by a bullet? So these are things that don't make sense. What do you guys think? I don't know. Only God knows. In any event, rest in peace to Tupac, and who knows what he would have done with the rest of his life. I always wonder that, what it would have been like if he was still around. Would him and Biggie have squashed it? Could you imagine if these two would have joined forces and created their own label? Maybe that's really what was going to happen. Maybe Tupac was going to leave Death Row. I don't know. But the truth is out there, and I think more than Suge Knight know about it. I think a lot of people in Death Row Records know exactly what happened to Tupac. This is Beck Lover, and this is my 2 cents on that.